And good evening, people. Welcome to Ghost of Bacon. I'm your host, Jake Roberts. Hopefully you can hear me well. Still playing with the volume on the opening intro. So all my favorite people in the house. I see Jan, Mary, Linda, Kat, Penny, Patty, Ray, Z, John Edwards in the house. Sorry, John. I didn't mean for you to just hang up. John just called me on the phone, and he said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just getting ready to go live." He says, "Oh, crap." Thanks for popping in, John. Good to see you. Tommy, as always. Jenny. All right. Of course, can't miss Lon. He's here. So, I really didn't have much of an agenda this evening, gang. I wanted to, as I said, do some housekeeping type things for the podcast, talk about my summer schedule with the podcast and what that's going to look like, along with, the future plans for the podcast. And so, Dan Spino in the house. Good to see you, my friend. So let's see, where do I start? Here in the next few weeks, in throughout the summer, first and foremost, this is the part I always forget, and my friend AO always reminds me. If you haven't already done so, if you enjoy the material I put out, semi bi-weekly, sometimes tri-weekly or whatever schedule, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you head over to the Keys of the Rosy Cross group on Facebook and join us there. You're going to see a lot of the research that other people are doing. It gets posted there. A lot of good things happening there lately. I wanted to give a shout out to my good friend Z, of course, Jason Mercer. They've been posting some, really great stuff here lately. So I want to say thanks to you guys for keeping stuff going. But yeah, as far as the schedule goes, it will be hit or miss a little bit this summer. I'm planning my first trip to Newfoundland to meet up with Bill Smith this coming week. So not sure if I'll have anything. Obviously, we won't be coming on next week as I'll be out of the country, but hopefully I'll have some interesting things to report back to you on the following episode. I'll be talking about my trip and what it's like to kiss a fish. So we'll be talking about that in a couple of weeks. I also have a couple of other trips planned, meeting up with Bill again in Nova Scotia a couple times. And then we have at least one more trip planned to our sites in Newfoundland. And so that's really all I have about in terms of the schedule. Like I said, I'm going to try to hit it twice a week or every 2 weeks. If I'm unable to, I will continue to notify you on Facebook of what the plans are. So with that being said, I would like to talk about something that appears in my latest book, Keys of the Rosy Cross. And it has to do with the son of Sir Walter Raleigh, Watt. Now, in case you didn't know, one of the things that led to the execution of Sir Walter Raleigh was the fact that his son Watt and his best friend, who's his name, Remus, I think, attacked a Spanish outpost after James had already sued Spain for peace. And they brokered a deal and made sure that Raleigh and others would no longer attack the Spanish. Now, fast forward, James lets Walter out of the Tower of London to try to find El Dorado. As it turns out, that was just simply a cover story, and more on that at some other time. And so, long story longer, young Watt Raleigh and Raleigh's best friend led an attack on a Spanish outpost. Now, this violated the treaty with Spain, really made James King James I very upset. And the Spanish ambassador, Don Gondomar, demanded Raleigh's head, demanded that he be executed. And so James didn't feel like he had much of a choice, and so he went ahead and ordered that. Now, here's the thing. Allegedly, Wat Raleigh was killed in the skirmish when they attacked the outpost. And Raleigh's friend was so upset that Raleigh wouldn't forgive him that he committed suicide. Or so the story goes. Now, the problem here is that this was a long, long time ago. And, word does not travel very quickly across the ocean. And it'd be very easy just simply to say that the person who, violated the king's wishes, Wat Raleigh, died in the skirmish, when in fact, I believe he merely changed names, boarded a different ship where people didn't recognize him, and lived on. And so I have evidence to support that, and it appears from one of the portraits painted by a Bacon alias by the name of Tiberio Tinelli. Now, in case you didn't know, in my first book, Bacon, in his cipher messages, claims that Tiberio Tinelli was a good alias. He says, but his best alias by far was Samuel de Champlain, which I know sounds outlandish and crazy, but all of the evidence is there for you to review at your leisure in my books. But one of the main pieces of evidence for me believing that Wat Raleigh, my belief that he lived on, is a portrait painted by none other than Tiberio Tinelli. And I analyzed this portrait in my second book, Keys of the Rosy Cross, because it's the only Tinelli painting that I could find that actually had textual elements in it, and I found that it was encrypted all over the place. So for a full decryption of that, you'll have to take a look at my book, The Keys of the Rosy Cross, and read that chapter. But for our intents and purposes tonight, I just want to show you that painting just because I think it's pretty cool. Let me add this to the stage. And here is a portrait of it's in German, but it translates to a young doctor. Now, this, I believe, is a portrait of Wat Raleigh, Sir Walter Raleigh's son. Here he is as a young man, a doctor in Germany. And you know some really odd sorts of elements. We have a skeleton of a baby up here on a shelf. We have these books on the bookshelf, and underneath that is a hourglass. We have his quills. And actually, I spent a great deal of time in the book decrypting the ciphers that appear on this printed page in front of him that he's pointing at with his quill. Let's see. Daniel, I know you're watching, so you'll find. I know that you pointed out you had an interest for pinky rings in some of these portraits. Well, here you see young Wat Raleigh with his pinky ring. Here, notice the title of this book is actually not on the binding, but on the pages. So the stakes are clues, and of course that has an encryption in it and several cipher values. The one I'm going to point out here is, notice his index finger is hidden within the book. And for those of you who are unfamiliar with some of my work, each of the fingers can actually be assigned a cipher value. And the way that works is each finger is associated with a different planetary body, according to palmistry and astronomy. And the index finger is associated with the planet Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is also associated with the 4x4 magic square, which has a constant of 34. In other words, you add up every row, every column, every diagonal, and they all total 34, making it a magic square. So 34 also happens to be the reverse cipher signature for the name Watt. And so here we have Watt hiding his finger in the book. Watt Raleigh is actually hiding within that alias of the young German doctor. And it's not just, that's not the only cipher evidence I have. For a full breakdown, again, you're going to have to go through and see how I decrypted that entire painting. But I found it pretty interesting that we have evidence of young Walter Raleigh still being alive. So looking here back at the chat. And Cat wants to know, what do you get when you cross a pit bull with a collie? A dog that'll rip your arm off, then run for help. I love it when you guys ask questions here in the chat. Thanks, Cat. Yes, I'm coming to Nova Scotia. I'm flying out of Montreal on Wednesday, and I'll be returning. I'll have a little a layover where I'm actually going to be able to stay probably in Halifax overnight Tuesday, the following Tuesday into Wednesday, and I fly out of Halifax on Wednesday. Let's see. Oh, Barbara, thank you. Thank you for popping in. Well, that's a good question, John. Yeah, Daniel, are you still... Yes, Daniel is still doing the compendium. Awesome. Can't think of anyone better. Be working on that right now. Let's see. No, Cat. Bacon was Tiberius Tonelli, and Bacon was also Champlain, and they were operating at different times in different areas. Bacon was operating as Tiberius Tonelli in Europe, and of course Bacon was operating as Champlain later in France and here in the New World. So yes, they were both Bacon. Yay, Adam, good to see you. Yes, he definitely survived. And I know that you and I can probably point to a lot of other messages where we see that same information for sure. Can you go back to the book titles? Are there ciphers in them? Yes, Barbara, there are ciphers in them. I wasn't going to go through each one tonight. It was a little bit of a teaser, just trying to promote my book. But yes, all of those book titles have encryptions. Oh, that's interesting, Ray. Yeah, just scored a remodel contract for a house on Jupiter Way. I was wondering what Jupiter represented. It's really kind of neat that Jupiter is also associated with the Hebrew god El, E-L. Let's see. Sandy, yeah, it makes me think of that too. Jenny asks, am I going to the icon? Unfortunately, I'm going to be there at a different time, Jenny. I'm not going to make it to this one, I don't think. I originally planned on trying to make it coincide, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to do that. Yes, Daniel. Our friends Henry Risley, the Earl of Southampton, and the painter Nicholas Poussin both wore these rings that it is believed to have identified them as Freemasons Pythagoreans. Very, very true. Yeah, good. Forgive the pun, but good eye, Lon. Yeah, it looks as if the eyes are not tracking together, which I found to be pretty interesting for sure. Yeah, Sandy. Early on in life, Walter Raleigh was referred to as Watt, but then when his son was born, he stuck with Walt, and they called their son Watt as a nickname. Daniel asks, Jake, have you seen any cipher clues as to where Bacon's heart was kept apart from his body since he was considered a French king? I haven't seen anything of that, Daniel. I would have to be able to find cipher evidence that was probably left behind by his nephew, Watt Riley, because that would, I think if we're looking for a message about what happened to Bacon's body after he died, that's where we would have to find it. Great question. And Kat asked, Jenny, are you going to the con? How many of you here are planning on going to the Oak Island Conference? I unfortunately will not be in town at the time. No, thank you, Dan. Like I said, it was going to be a quick one tonight. Anything else for the good of the order here of the Keys of the Rosy Cross and the Ghosts of Bacon? I know, Penny. It would be fun. Oh, you are going, Kat. Cool. Have to have you on and report back. You can be my guest afterwards. Tell us all about it. The inside scoop. And and those of you who are interested, it looks like they are going to be starting up the tours once again on Oak Island. So, Jan, I feel the pain. Same here. Oh, thanks, Adam. Appreciate that. It's definitely going to be a good trip. And like I said, I'm hoping that when I return, I have something really fun to share with you. Yes, Daniel. The question is, anything on Thomas Harriot? I have a lot on Thomas Harriot appearing in the Aliases chapter of my latest book. You're spot on with Thomas Harriot. So, yeah, that's just it, Kat. Wouldn't it be fun? I mean, this is where all of a sudden, all of these familiar names, we all of a sudden would be able to, kind of meet up and see each other face to face. It'd be a lot of fun at the IOCon for sure. Yeah, Barbara. The problem is that I have a funny feeling that there will probably be photos specifically for shaming purposes. If I know Bill, and I know I do. All right, gang. Listen, like I said, would you please, if you can, spread the word about the podcast, share it with friends, post it on Facebook if you would. And if you haven't already hit that like button or follow me, make sure you do so. Also, if you still haven't transferred your membership from our old Ghosts of Bacon group that is now defunct, make sure that you come over and join the Keys of the Rosy Cross group on Facebook. Like to get our numbers back up to where they used to be, and that would be a great help. And so this would be Harriet's book. Yes, it is written in his book that they had a perspective glass that amazed the indigenous people. I believe it was a simple telescope. I believe it was too, Daniel. Yeah. And, interestingly, Thomas Harriot had the same exact habit as Samuel de Champlain of befriending the indigenous peoples and treating them fairly as trading partners. He saw them as being a noble people, and that they needed to be treated with respect, and they made much better allies than enemies. Thanks, Penn. Definitely will. I'll get a hold of you guys as soon as I get back. All right, gang. Once again, thanks for joining me. Like I said, it was going to be a quick one tonight, but just want to encourage people to get over there and get our numbers up for the group, and feel free to invite your friends. It's where all the fun things happen. So, all right, gang. So until next time, like I said, here in a couple of weeks, hopefully I have some good stuff to report back to you. And till then, stay safe and be cool to people, okay? Take care. Bye.